one level, you have a kind of bravado that says that everything's going to be fine. I mean, you know, I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've got a following, and, you know, it's not going to be any problem. I mean, you know, everybody gets canceled, and I'm going to be fine, is the front side. Because you don't want to let anyone feel that there's a problem. You know, no one wants to see that you're afraid. Underneath all that, you're afraid.
Script en main, Melissa et Dean se remémorent des scènes essentielles, notamment celles dans lesquelles les Wilder, qui mènent d'ordinaire une vie plutôt paisible, doivent envisager la violence potentielle de l'autodéfense.
I'm finished with the dishes. Are you coming up?
In a few minutes.
Why are you cleaning that rifle? Oh, this is strange.
Why are you cleaning that rifle?
Beth, we've been all through this.
You've been through it. I asked you not to buy it, and you went right ahead and didn't anyway.
Beth, I'm not gonna let someone come in here and just take away my property.
He's not gonna take it away. He said you could work on it, same as always.
It's mine. It's not his. I'm not gonna be a slave on my own property.
And you'd use that gun to stop him. Answer me!
Yes! Yes, I would if I had to.
Mais le dernier adieu baisserait le rideau à jamais sur cet endroit magique. En 1984, Michael Landon entend le producteur Kent McGray parler de ce qu'il faut enlever ou démolir parmi les décors de La petite maison dans la prairie.
He says, what do you mean, you have to take them all down? And I said, yeah. And he says, don't do anything yet. So he came back about 2 hours later. And he says, what if I write a show where we blow up the buildings? I said, okay. So that's how it started. Now from there we had to do tests. Mike wanted to see what kind of explosion, you know, with Luke, our special effects man, you never really knew what you were going to get till it happened.
Cet épisode relate la réaction farouche des habitants de Walnut Grove en apprenant qu'un homme cupide se dit propriétaire de leurs terres.
Lassiter & Company owns the property upon which this town has been built.
Oh, wait a minute, what is all this talk about? You want something, what is it?
There's no reason for you not to go on working just as you've always worked, sir. The only difference is that you'll be working for me as salaried employees.
What is he talking about? Quiet, quiet.
I think one of the great things about that final episode, too, was having Mike and Karen back. I think it was really important for us to have that kind of closure and to have a chance to be together and, you know, really say goodbye.
I was so proud of you tonight.
You should have been. I kind of reminded myself of you.
Me?
Yeah, you. Like that where the women are talking about how, you know, how strong we were and how we couldn't have done what we did without the men, because it's usually the reverse of that. It's interesting. It's very forward-thinking of Michael and kind of surprising.
Mais au fil de l'intrigue, la tendresse fait place au conflit.
I said this is my place, and I want you off of my land.
You're being rather foolish.
Get off this property now.
I remember breaking the windows. I remember, because, you know, I very rarely got to do anything as Laura that had even the slightest tone of civil disobedience to it. You know, I was spunky. I got into some trouble in some situations, but by and large a good kid. So the breaking of the windows was very symbolic of, you know, a real turning point for Laura.
He owns the land. We'll let him have
Dans l'avant-dernier épisode, les habitants de Walnut Grove décident qu'ils préfèrent détruire leur ville plutôt que de la céder à cet homme.
Listen here. You want to do more than bust a couple of windows? I got a wagon at my place loaded to the gills with dynamite for the mine.
All right, by God. Lassiter wants to kill our town. The least we can do is bury him. Now, what do you say?
Le scénariste-réalisateur Michael Landon se sert de la destruction inévitable des décors pour clore la série en faisant vivre une tragédie à ses personnages.
Exterior welder's house morning. Laura moves down the walk, turns and looks back, then continues to where Almanzo, Jenny, Rose, and Montague wait. They look at each other in silence. Laura nods to Almanzo.
One of the most touching days of my life was the day we blew up. And I get choked up talking about it, I'm sorry. The day we blew up the town, and the first shot in the morning was blowing up the mill. And we had, I think, 4 cameras or 5 cameras working, some in slow motion and some in stuff, and blew up that shot. And I turned to Mike in tears, both of us. We had spent 10 years of your life shooting the show. And it became part of you. It could not help but touch you.
I stood everywhere. I mean, I stood and looked at all the buildings, or all of the rubble. My mother has a picture of me standing by the sign in the middle of town. And I'm just sobbing. I mean, you can clearly see that I've been crying. This is kind of a cruel picture of me standing there, just puffy-eyed, holding a tissue. And then there's a picture of Karen and I hugging each other. And again, I'm crying. And I wandered around from building to building and said goodbye. It was interesting, too, how everybody sort of got to feel whatever they were feeling at that moment, and Michael just let us have it.
Yeah.
You know, if you were crying, you were crying, and if you were stunned, you were stunned. If you know, he didn't try to direct anybody.
Jusqu'à la fin, la série reste fidèle à sa thématique. Quelle que soit la tragédie, le chagrin ou la perte qui nous afflige, la famille, la foi, l'espoir et l'amour nous montreront la voie.
I think that the Little House on the Prairie fans felt a certain sense of righteous closure with the end of the show, with the way that we chose to do it. And I think that what is extraordinary about the show is that regardless of how it ends, it still goes on, which is exactly what Michael said to me, pretty much the last words on the last day when we said goodbye, and he said to me, it's not an end, it's just a beginning. And he was right.
As I was walking away from Walnut Grove with Melissa today, I was so struck by the fact that the buildings may be gone, but the spirit of Walnut Grove will always be here.
A